Compay. Alright, y'all. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're in the mood for another Dragon Ball reflection comparison video. I just brought to you from Laughingstock Media the 10 things that GT did better than Super. And in that video they said that they had done 10 things Super's done better than GT over on Geekdom 101. So here we are. I think it's time for us to do a little reverse learning. Headshot!
Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Share this video out to the world, and I thank you very much for your support. With the beginning of the Champa arc and the Universe 6 tournament, all eyes are on Dragon Ball Super right now. But since Dragon Ball Super's been on, there's been comparisons between Dragon Ball Super and GT. So on this video, I'm going to talk about the 10 things that Dragon Ball Super did better than Dragon Ball GT so far. And joining me on the video is Mike from Laughingstock Media. Say hello, Mike.
Hey guys, it's Mike here from Laughingstock Media, and I'm excited to talk about this topic.
Yes, indeed. And for those of you who want to know the 10 things that Dragon Ball GT did better than Super, we have the other side of the coin over on Laughingstock Media's channel. I will put the link to that below, so when you get done with this video, go check out what GT did better. But now we're going to talk about the 10 things Dragon Ball Super did better than GT so far. And once again, Dragon Ball Super is not complete yet, so we will probably revisit this topic after Dragon Ball Super ends, whenever that is. So Mike's picked 5, I have picked 5. Mike, what is your first, in no particular order, first choice for the 10 things Super did better than GT?
Well, my first pick would have to be the added mythology and lore in Dragon Ball Super. Now, of course, GT does have some lore, especially talking about the Sifurians and Baby and stuff like that, Shadow Dragons, but in Dragon Ball Super, we have so much expansions. We have the gods of destruction, talking about how the Supreme Kaiser are actually also gods of creation. We have alternate universes, 12 in all. There's so much cool stuff that they've added, talking about, at least in the movie, the original Super Saiyan God and the evil Saiyans of old and the good Saiyans of old on the original planet. And there's just so much cool stuff that they've added that I love, and I feel like just has an overall better theme, in my opinion, than the lore that they added in GT, and makes it a more rewarding and rich world that they're building with Dragon Ball Super. And I've always loved that, and that's the reason why I love things like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars so much.
Yeah, GT was like, let's explore this world. Super's like, let's explore another world, so another universe. My first pick is I felt that Dragon Ball Super had better use of Frieza. And yes, I know that the Resurrection F movie came first and that Super adapted it, but nonetheless, even though I thought that Frieza teaming up with Cell in Hell was a pretty cool little idea, I didn't think they utilized Frieza to his potential, and I feel that the revenge story that Dragon Ball Super and Resurrection F told of Frieza coming back, training and fighting Goku one more time, I thought it was just more expanded upon. I felt the Super 17 saga was a little bit too rushed and a little bit too fan servicey, so I feel that Super utilized Frieza much better than Dragon Ball GT did.
I agree.
What's your next one?
My next one is going to be the concepts of Dragon Ball Super, and I kind of explored upon that a little bit before with my previous pick. However, the concepts are just so cool, things that they've added, and this is kind of a recurring theme of the different things I've picked. Now, for the concepts, the idea of God Ki, as opposed to just normal kind of Ki that they had in Dragon Ball GT, of gods of destruction, of this whole even bigger hierarchy of gods, of these alternate universes. There's such cool things. I love Stanley Kubrick films, 2001, all the stuff like that, and his films are very concept-based. And I think that I really just appreciate all the concepts that they're introducing in Dragon Ball Super, and I kind of feel that they got Dragon Ball GT beat in that regard.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. It's just like what you said about the lore expansion. It just goes together. My next pick is the fact that Dragon Ball Super has an actual tournament that is an actual tournament and not just one episode. Now, we haven't actually seen this tournament, but we know based on the manga spoilers and what Toriyama said that this Universe 6 versus Universe 7 tournament is going to be an integral part of the story. Will it be the last arc? We don't know yet, but it's not going to be just one episode like the GT tournament. And I felt the GT tournament could have been a lot bigger, a lot more impactful. I think it could have actually been an actual tournament. With this, we're actually going to see guys fighting for something that actually is kind of, and I keep saying actually, but you get what I'm saying, that means something. Even though it's the concept behind it, as far as Champa wanting the Earth for food or whatever, is kind of, wacky. Rather than a Tenkaichi Budokai, it's still something unique.
It fits into the Dragon Ball Z mythos, though.
With a new kind of
the Dragon Ball.
It's not on Earth anymore. It's in that weird planet, in between Universe 6 and 7, or wherever that planet is where they're going to have the tournament. I think that the Super Tournament's actually going to matter, whereas the GT one didn't. What's your next one?
Yeah, just expanding upon that real quick, I definitely want to say that the only even tournament we got for a real tournament in Dragon Ball Z was the filler tournament in the other world, so it's really cool to actually see them doing a new one. But my next one is going to be Toriyama's involvement. Now, as we know, famously, many people say GT is not canon, and the reason for that is because Akira Toriyama wasn't super involved in GT. He did some stuff here and there, but overall, he was not really heavily involved. It's kind of like the movies. So basically, Toriyama's involvement is definitely something that's kind of getting the general themes and ideas back into what the creator had in mind with the manga, especially with Battle of Gods. It really feels a lot in the way of Dragon Ball, the manga, and now with these character designs in Universe 6, we got stuff that looked like Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest and stuff.
Just hire someone for continuity.
So him getting back involved is something that, in my opinion, makes Super in this regard better than what GT did.
Absolutely. Yeah, Toriyama just designed the initial characters and some of the planets, and that's it. And the logo. My number 3, or whatever, is actually going to be a lot of people's number 1. The fact that Goku is not a kid in Dragon Ball Super. The idea, and again, it's one of those things where they never intended it to be that way, but there's numerical and actual data that proves that Goku being a kid turned a lot of people off to GT. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Goku was a kid in Dragon Ball. And I agree. I love Goku's adventures as a kid. But when you're a storyteller, you never want to go backwards. And Dragon Ball GT, one of the things that hurt the series so much was Goku being a kid for the entirety of the series. If you're going to do an arc where Goku becomes a kid again, make it an arc and then he becomes an adult again at the end. But no, he stayed a kid throughout the whole series, and I think that Super, by not making a mistake like that, that's that drastic, I think has actually been more enjoyable. I think Goku has had not too much, but a little bit more actual development in Super versus GT.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like, Goku started out as a kid because you start out as a kid in real life. You don't start out Benjamin buttoning things, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what they tried to do and it just failed. I mean, why did he become a kid? But I don't know. The thing is that my fourth pick that I'm going to be saying in this case is going to be backing Dragon Ball out of a corner. In that case, what I'm going to be talking about is essentially that I always felt that at the end of Z, Dragon Ball was kind of backed into a corner because, how strong could they get? They've already got as strong as they can. They still got Ki. Is it just going to be the same thing over and over, more and more transformations? It just kind of, we've seen enough. We've already seen it too much. It was time for it to end in that regard. But then Dragon Ball Super comes along. The thing with Dragon Ball Super is they introduce God Ki. They introduce gods. They introduce other universes. So this opens it up in such a big way that these characters and this whole world is breathing a new, fresh breath of life. You know what I mean? So now they actually don't have this whole limit placed upon them where it's it's a little bit more ridiculous that they have other universes and stuff like that, sure, in terms of his absurd way. But overall, Goku actually has more characters to fight, and there's other characters, which I'll get into a little bit, which actually are now being involved in the fight as well, and it's going to be really cool to see how that turns out.
All right, I agree with everything you just said. My number 2, which I actually consider making this number 1, is that Dragon Ball Super is way funnier. The comedy, I think GT is a little bit too dry and drab sometimes. The comedy in Dragon Ball Super is amazing. Episode 2 anything with Vegeta. Episode 2 with Vegeta going to the amusement park with his family. The episode where Vegeta makes the squid, where he's begging Whis for help, the integration of Champa and his comedy. Dragon Ball Super has had moments where I have legitimately laughed out loud, and there's very few in GT. And Super's only about 28 episodes in right now, hasn't even hit 30 yet. And I think that the comedy in Super, whether it's Toriyama's writing or the writing of the Toei staff, they understand Toriyama if it's them. And to me, I think that the comedy aspect of Super makes it more enjoyable and makes it feel more like a Dragon Ball product, because a lot of people don't understand, especially those who grew up with the Western version of Dragon Ball, that Dragon Ball and Toriyama's a comedy gag manga artist. He writes comedies. It's what he's best at. And the fight scenes are awesome, and the moments are awesome, and the emotion is awesome. But at the end of the day, he's a comedy writer, and Super feels more like Toriyama because of that aspect. I felt GT tried to take itself a little bit too seriously. Before we get to your number one, I want everybody down watching this video, go ahead and comment down below. Give us some of your examples for the 10 things that Super did better in GT. Mike, what is your number one thing that Super did better in GT so far?
My number one thing that Super has done better than GT thus far would definitely have to be the better utilization or use of side characters. In GT, what does everyone say GT stands for? It's not Grand Tour, it's Goku time. But in Dragon Ball Super...
And Pan time.
Oh yeah, Pan a little bit too, especially when she's doing ridiculous things that she's on in Super Saiyan. But with Goku, it was just all about him. Even though in Dragon Ball Super, he's still the main character for the most part. You got Vegeta being developed. You got Gohan being developed as a father, and now he's going to train again. You got other characters being involved in this tournament, so immediately they're doing a better job utilizing characters than they did in Dragon Ball GT, and they're actually developing them. Hell, Mr. Satan is getting developed. I mean, Mr. Satan, what, did he have any development in GT whatsoever? He was hanging around with Boo, that's all I can remember. But in Dragon Ball Super, lots of characters are being developed, and the Mr. Satan episode's one of my favorite episodes of the series, especially that scene where he punches Goku. So
awesome.
It's definitely...
That goes back to the comedy, yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's definitely something that I think has to be my, biggest thing that I really think that Dragon Ball Super is doing better than GT thus far.
My number one is the other side of that coin, and I agree with your number one completely. My number one is that Super has better new characters. Now, GT does have some cool villains like Baby, Dr. Miyu, General Ruldo. I enjoyed Super 17 for what it was. I like the Shadow Dragons, but I think Super, with the debut or the reintroduction of Beerus and Whis, and then the debut of Champa and Vados, who are becoming very fastly, these four are becoming my favorite characters, along with Jocko, who's utterly hilarious. I think Dragon Ball Super has significantly better new characters than Dragon Ball GT, and we haven't even seen the Universe 6 characters in the anime yet, and I think those characters, all of them, all 5 of them, include actually 6 if you count Monaka, as well as the Zuno, the possibility of the Space Dragon. There's so much incredible, new characters, so many of them. I think Super eats Dragon Ball GT for breakfast when it comes to new characters. What do you think?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Totally agree. I love all these new characters. Just everything about it just feels so refreshing. And even though it's because it's a lot of the way it is newer, it just feels great. They all feel like real fleshed out characters. And like going back to the comedy, you got characters like Champa, who's super powerful.
And Jocko.
Yeah, and but Champa, for example, could kill anyone with ease, but he's like having fun. He's acting like a snot-nosed kid in a lot of ways. It's just so refreshing. Beerus isn't like, oh, I'm just gonna kill everyone, I'm a badass. Beerus is like, oh, I love pizza. I'm gonna do all this because of food. It's just so refreshing, and I just totally agree in every single way with your number one point.
So what do you guys think? Down in the description below, check out Mike's video, which was 10 reasons why GT was better than Super. I was on there as well. But I want to know what you think. Why do you think GT is better than Super? What are your reasons for it? It doesn't matter if you like Super more or GT more. Super's not done yet. We will revisit this topic once Super is over. Then we can get a full aspect of really what Super did better. And there are things that GT has done better. Check out Mike's video for that. And check out Laughing Stock Media. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you down the road.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Those were surprisingly a lot of really good in-depth, I mean, I say surprisingly, but some in-depth points and reasons for Super being better. Well, not Super being better, but the 10 things that are better about Super. What I like most, I think, about Super is it's that continuation we always wanted. When Dragon Ball Z ended, we wanted the story to keep going, but the 10 years down the road, or however many years, the wacky change and twist that GT took on what Z had been for us, it was refreshing, but at the same time, it was a bit much. And then Super puts us back where we left off. You know, a lot of us didn't leave off at the tournament with Oob. Most of us left off with Goku killing Kid Buu and ready to see what came next. You know? I feel so much more connected to Super because I still feel like I'm still there in that time frame. I don't know. It just seems more real, man. Anyways, I'm gonna make sure to get the link in the description for this video, and I'll put in the link for the other half of it on Laughingstock Media's channel. And tell me in the comments below if you know anything, about, if you've been following Super, who your favorite characters are and why, or I just posed a question to Mike recently on his Ask FM for the Laughingstock Media Ask FM on whether or not he really believes that their attempts at retraining Gohan in Super is going to somehow make up for or be a way to bring Gohan back out, because in Dragon Ball Z, Gohan was supposed to be the hero. He was supposed to be drawn out and become the... but everyone liked Goku too much, and Toriyama was attached and wanted to keep going in this... And so, Gohan got dropped. Let me know. And thanks for watching. Make sure to go check them out. I'll catch you guys in the next vid.